This is the beginning of what's going to happen here. When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the street, you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. And if you remember what the Civil Rights Movement was about, the Civil Rights Movement was about these very kinds of protests. There's nothing in the Constitution that tells you what time you can protest. You can protest at any time. That's the whole point of it, is to disrupt, it's to make uncomfortable. And that's what they're doing. And that's what I believe when I say everyone has to be willing to sacrifice something. You have to make people uncomfortable in these times. If you see how uncomfortable people uncomfortably...
As bad as it is that leftists stormed this church, the fact that Don Lemon is there just puts this at the very bottom of the barrel. Now, he pretends he's there as an independent journalist just covering the story, but we all know that he's really there as a protester. The independent journalist aspect is just a cover for his true mission. And I do have evidence, which I'll show you here in a little bit, to just show how cozy Don Lemon actually is with these protesters. In case you hadn't heard what happened yesterday, there was this church service going on in Minneapolis, and in the middle of service, while it is packed, the pews are there, people are there worshiping, they're expressing their faith and exercising their First Amendment right, freedom of religion. This mob of protesters starts streaming in, they're screaming, and they start terrorizing the people there. I mean, there's one moment, if you take a close look, where there is this little boy. He looks maybe, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old. He is crying because you can tell how scared he is, and his father is trying to comfort him. Just, I mean, I don't think the protesters are making the point that they think they're making here.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Don't shoot! 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 Shame! Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly. Say your name! Renee Good! Renee!
As if it's not bad enough that this is a direct challenge to religious freedom. They are terrorizing people in a house of worship. I mean, can you imagine them doing this to a mosque? Can you imagine them doing this to a synagogue? Well, unfortunately, probably they would do it to a synagogue. But the point I'm trying to make here is there is definitely this hierarchy. They're picking on Christians because it's popular, it's cool, it's socially and culturally acceptable to pick on Christians. I guarantee you, if a conservative movement did this to a mosque, there would be outrage everywhere. The mainstream media would be all over it. The DOJ, the president, the federal government, they'd call it a hate crime. I mean, seriously, is there any... Think about the Somali population. Oops, that was one of the cats. In Minneapolis. Obviously, there's a huge Somali population there. It's tied to the controversy that's been going on over the last few months. And 99% of Somalis are Sunni Muslims. So obviously, a lot of mosques in the area. They didn't choose to invade one of those, though. No, they chose the Christian church for a particular reason. Now, Don Lemon, he's not just there as this observer. Most people, let's say the media just so happened to be there, like CNN during 4 a.m., 6 a.m., FBI raids when no one else is there. I mean, let's just say somehow Don Lemon got a hint. Well, unfortunately for him, he is now tied. We do have evidence to this movement. He actually kissed the organizer of this mob on the cheek, and on top of that, he actually said it was nice to see her, which to me indicates that they have some sort of pre-existing relationship before this protest, this storming of the church even went down.
Thank you guys for allowing me to be here.
Okay,
Thank you guys.
Okay.
How are you?
Good
to see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you. Tell us why you're doing this.
So
This is Nakima Levy Armstrong. She's on the show
Nakima
on
Levy
Friday.
Armstrong, civil rights attorney, longtime activist here in the community. And, we protest and do activism in all kinds of ways. This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there. And then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now. We've had a lot of success with the times we have done Operation Pull Up.
Yeah.
After George Floyd was killed, we went to the Police Federation head's home and staged a demonstration there. We also went to the head of the U.S. Marshals from Minnesota after Winston Smith was killed by the U.S. Marshals. We went there after Dante Wright was killed.
Now, a lot is going to be said about this mob storming the church, but I want to zone in here on Don Lemon for a moment, because a former cable news TV host, a multi-millionaire who also has his own podcast, which somehow has its own audience, I mean, him coming to invade this church is not speaking truth to power. This is elitism disguised as, oh, he's just one of the people. It's elite moral theater, and he's using these believers, these ordinary people, as pawns in his sick, twisted dominance theater. Keep in mind, Renee Good was shot several weeks ago at this point. These riots, these protests have been going on. Where's Don Lemon been this whole time? He just so happened to touch down in Minneapolis hours before this surprise protest, and not only is he not just standing back videoing the whole thing, he's actually getting involved. He's getting in people's faces, trying to challenge and debate them. That does not sound like journalisming to me. Take a look at Don Lemon. This is him challenging the pastor of the church.
This is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Yeah.
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, and that's the thing. If you are coming into a house of worship and you are shouting, you are chanting, you are terrorizing people, children are crying, you're chasing people as they're leaving, whose minds do they think they're really going to change? I don't think they actually went in good faith. And I know that sounds obvious, but they really believe that they're doing something big, they're doing something special. But let's be honest, all they want are those social media likes. All they want is the attention, and unfortunately they've gotten attention, but it's not going to convince anyone. If anything, it's going to damage their own movement, because it's showing just how deranged and immoral they are. They think that they stand for something good, but clearly they have no boundaries. They've crossed one of the biggest lines. If you can't have sanctuary in a house of worship, any house of worship, where can you possibly have sanctuary in this crazy world? Now, unfortunately, it wasn't just Don Lemon. Many of these protesters actually got in the faces of the church members, the worshipers, and not only did they get in their faces in the sanctuary, they actually chased them out. Look, this is Minneapolis. It's snowy, so there are a lot of people who maybe, are elderly and they don't feel safe driving, or people who don't have the means necessary to get to church. So this church has vans to serve those populations, and these protesters were actually chasing them to the vans and yelling at them. Take a look at this.
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit as a preacher. Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No. Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame. Out now. Out now. Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on you. Do something. Stand with the Somalis. Stand with the Latinos. Quit ignoring this injustice. He wears a suit and tie and he hangs out with Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest?
So instead of actually trying to have a conversation with them, he's shaming them. He's trying to throw these gotcha questions. He's really just being a narcissist at this point. He's filming himself doing this, right? So obviously he had the intention of posting it on social media. I think if you have the intention of actually changing hearts and minds, you wouldn't go in there with your phone out. On top of all of this, he wants to scream about injustices. I think we all know that our smartphones, unfortunately, because they're made overseas, so many people are taken advantage of, whether they're sweatshops, whether it's the minerals and rare earth materials that are mined. I mean, we're all guilty of this in some way, right? If you drink coffee, I mean, somewhere along the lines, people have been exploited. If you're wearing jewelry, diamonds, that's why they call them blood diamonds, like especially the big rare ones. There's so much going on here. So for him to be recording this on a smartphone, which we know exploits workers in third world countries, talk about hypocrisy right there, unless he really is just that dumb that he doesn't realize he's being a hypocrite. Well, there is bad news for Don Lemon in all of this, because it turns out he is now, rumor has it, under investigation. Yeah, under investigation over this stunt. But before I get to that, I would like to acknowledge the members of today's Governor's Club. They are RL1401, Jeremy 2001 Happy ×2, and RL Bob, thank you so much, very gracious of you, Jenda Monero ×2, and Bunnyette Ralph. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. So just take a look at these headlines right now. If you Google Don Lemon's name, MAGA calls for Don Lemon to be arrested under FACE Act after Minnesota church protest. Don Lemon bites back. So many articles now about him potentially being under investigation. Now, the FACE Act, what's really ironic about this is you think about, earlier I mentioned, imagine if Christians or conservatives stormed a mosque. They would be held accountable. It would be called a hate crime. Well, similar things have happened, right? Christians and pro-lifers have been protesting outside of abortion clinics, and they've been arrested. They've been put in jail. They haven't hurt anyone. They were just peacefully protesting. Here in Minneapolis, they actually stormed the church. And so the FACE Act could potentially be used against Don Lemon. Here is Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon talking about this.
We have other statutes in our playbook which we've used to convict numerous attackers of churches in the last several months. There was a bad guy planting bombs in his backpack in houses of worship in Colorado, California, and Arizona. He's been convicted. There was a bad person who beheaded a statue of Mary and Jesus recently.
Wow.
We've reached a conviction in that case. And so any attack on a house of worship or a religious service in this country is under our jurisdiction, and we have a zero tolerance policy towards that. Beyond just attacks, we have hostility to faith in so many zoning commissions and city planning departments, including in blue states and red states. There is a situation.
Yeah, and she just goes on. She doesn't end up talking about Don Lemon specifically, but there have already been many rumors from credible sources saying that the DOJ is actively considering, if not pursuing this. The reason this story is such a big deal is because houses of worship, no matter the denomination, no matter the religion, again, we have freedom of religion in this country. There is a reason it is in the First Amendment. That just shows how important this is. If a place of worship is not sacred anymore, that says a lot about our society. If we don't hold that respect, if we don't hold that boundary for something sacred, then something is seriously wrong. Something is seriously ill with society. And that's why, to me, this story is the biggest story of today. As always, though, all of this is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's happening in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what do you think? Do you think Don Lemon was just there as a journalist? Should he be prosecuted? Would prosecuting him be infringing on his First Amendment right, freedom of the press? Or do you think he was just masquerading as a journalist to really take part in these disruptive and disrespectful protests? Let me know your thoughts, your opinions on that down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.